On a winter night in 39 AD, Rome froze. Not from cold, but from fear. Every noble household understood what this night meant. Somewhere in the city, a daughter would vanish. Imagine being 14 years old, already wrapped in your night clothes, believing the world beyond your window is quiet and safe. Then you hear it. Armored footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Growing closer. You were raised to believe a summons from the emperor was an honor. No one warned you it could come unannounced. No one warned you the guards would enter your home as if it already belonged to them. They carried a lantern covered in red cloth. When it was placed before your door, the street fell silent. In moments, your mother whispered your name as if speaking louder might anger the gods. Your father forced a smile that collapsed before it reached his eyes. And then you learned the truth every noble family feared. The Palatine does not summon daughters. It claims them. The girl who would learn this first was named Flavia. But her nightmare did not begin at that door. What waited inside the palace would make this moment feel merciful. This was not rumor. This was the night the Garden of Venus opened, a ritual so vile that Rome buried every trace of it. To understand how such a place could exist, you must understand the man who created it. Caligula was not born mad. He was born into glory. The son of Germanicus, Rome's most beloved general, a man adored by soldiers and citizens alike. The boy should have inherited honor. Instead, something far more corrosive took root. His childhood unfolded not in marble halls, but in military camps soaked in sweat, iron, and blood. Soldiers laughed as he marched among them in miniature armor, calling him Caligula, Little Boots. A nickname born of affection, destined to become a curse. Then came the shattering blow. Germanicus died under mysterious circumstances. Almost overnight, Caligula watched his mother and brothers exiled, imprisoned. And then came Capri. For 6 suffocating years, Caligula lived beside the man who had destroyed his family. Capri was no retreat. It was a gilded coffin sealed with paranoia. There, he learned the darkest rule of survival: to live, you must smile at the man you want to kill. When Tiberius finally died in 37 AD, Rome celebrated. The Senate lifted Caligula to the throne. For a brief moment, he played the savior. Prisoners freed. Taxes cut. Gold poured into games and feasts. Rome believed the nightmare had ended. Then the illness came. Caligula hovered near death, and when he rose from that bed, something vital did not rise with him. Standing atop the Palatine Hill, gazing down at a city that worshipped him, he grasped a terrible truth. At absolute power, there are no gods above you. Only victims below. That was when the idea hardened. Noble women were no longer daughters. They were instruments. The summons began quietly. Scrolls sealed in imperial purple arrived at patrician homes. Send your daughter. The most beautiful. The most politically useful. Refusal was treason. Obedience was surrender. They were taken to a secluded wing of the palace. Caligula named it the Garden of Venus. At first glance, it was paradise. Pink marble. Silk-lined beds. Perfume heavy in the air. Servants who anticipated every need. But slowly, the girls understood the truth. Paradise was decoration. The prison was everything beneath it. Their names were erased. Names meant identity. Identity meant resistance. They were given numbers, nicknames, humiliations whispered by the emperor himself. The jewels they wore were not gifts. They were chains. Heavy gold branding them as property of the state. The true weapon was waiting. They never knew when the summons would come. Tonight. Tomorrow. Weeks from now. Every footstep in the corridor was an execution delayed. By the time Caligula touched them, the damage was complete. They were paraded at banquets like living ornaments. Senators watched in silence. Fathers nodded. Fiancés smiled. Any sign of disgust meant death. That silence was its own execution. Caligula alternated cruelty with counterfeit tenderness. Brutality one night. Weeping apologies the next. It shattered the mind. The one who broke them became the only one who could soothe them. He destroyed solidarity. Ranked them. Turned them against one another. Unity died. And once unity died, the emperor owned everything. When he tired of them, he sold them. Senators and generals purchased what remained. Shared guilt bound Rome's elite to his silence. By 40 AD, the suicides began. Some cut their veins with shattered glass. Some twisted silk into nooses. Others stepped from balconies into the dark. Death became mercy. Then Caligula made his final mistake. He humiliated the men with swords. On January 24, 41 AD, in the Cryptoporticus, blades finally rose. The self-proclaimed god died screaming, choking on his own blood. But the Garden of Venus did not open its gates in triumph. Claudius, the new emperor, made a choice. Not justice. Silence. The survivors were returned home draped in gold, carrying dowries large enough to bury the truth. Forget, the gold commanded. Forget everything. They returned alive, but never truly living. Rome looked away. Rome always did. Because Caligula was not the disease. He was the symptom. A system that placed unlimited power into one man's hands and called it order. Rome built wonders that survived millennia. But it failed its most basic duty, to protect the innocent from those at the top. Evil does not always arrive with fire and swords. Sometimes it wears a crown. Sometimes it survives because too many people choose silence. And the girls of the Garden of Venus paid the price.